Yeah, hopefully a lot of people are gonna blow you guys' mind, especially if you meet me again.
Yeah, you have already blown our minds.
Yeah.
At the end of last year, we went to Myanmar.
Myanmar.
The last truly unspoilt frontier of Southeast Asia has been marred by controversy.
75,000 Rohingya Muslims
fled what human rights groups call ethnic cleansing.
Ethnic cleansing.
Amid worldwide boycotts and condemnation, what is Myanmar really like? And should you visit Myanmar at all? After a lot of deliberation, we decided to go ahead with our trip. But if you're planning your own, I urge you to do your own research. From the very start, I knew that Myanmar would be completely different to anywhere I'd been before. And within the first few days, we ended up in the deep countryside of the Yangon region, an area completely untouched by tourism. Eventually, we found ourselves in the back seat of a tiny tuk-tuk, wearing traditional makeup whilst being serenaded with a Beyoncé song.
Put your hands up, say
Myanmar is unlike anywhere else on Earth. We arrived into Yangon International Airport, and we headed straight into the centre of Myanmar's capital city. On the surface, Yangon looks a little rough around the edges. But as we explored some more, we found a city full of many surprises. From its beautiful nature to the stark reminders of its British colonial past, with grand, ornate public buildings still in use today. But it's the spiritual side of Yangon that is its most striking feature.
One fairly obvious thing you'll notice when you get to Yangon is that the city is covered in golden pagodas.
You genuinely can't drive a block through the city without seeing a golden stupa towering over the streets below. The SULE Pagoda, one of the city's most important religious monuments, is slap bang in the middle of a busy roundabout, which is somehow still an oasis once you step inside. But the most iconic and magical of them all is the towering SHWEDEGON Pagoda, the giant beating heart of this city. Local pilgrims, monks and tourists flock from all sides of the city to climb up the many steps into the complex. The shining golden stupa stands at over 100 meters tall.
The sheer scale of this place is just insane. You really can't get a good idea of it until you're here in person.
The experience of walking barefoot around the pagoda was completely surreal. We joined the continuous flow of worshippers as they stopped to pray and lay down offerings. As the sun started to set, the spires break out into a magical glow. A truly otherworldly experience. And Yangon had another surprise just a few kilometers away, in the shape of its vast green public parks.
If you're looking for a more peaceful place to escape the buzz of the city, there's nowhere better than KANDOWGYI Park.
The last thing I expected to see in Yangon was a stunning lake like this. A great place to unwind and a really good example of how Yangon is building for the future.
This whole area is undergoing some pretty big changes at the moment. There's quite a lot of construction work all around. They're building a giant aquarium just over there, and there's lots of other buildings being built around the lake. So it'll be very interesting to see what this place looks like in a couple of years' time, because once tourism comes, it moves fast. But it was in a different city park where everything on this trip changed. Just across from the SULE Pagoda is the MAHA BANDULA Park, which is a really nice public space with so much to see from every side. This place really comes alive in the late afternoon when people finish work and all the locals are hanging out with tourists as well. And it's just a really nice atmosphere, and it's a great place to people watch. And it was right here that we met a guy called Tutu. He randomly approached us outside of the park entrance, and at first we weren't sure if he was trying to scam us or not, because that does happen quite a lot around the touristy areas of the city. But the more we spoke to him and heard his story, the more it was obvious that he was genuine. He had just started his own tour business, showing people around the rural area where he grew up.
So I live 2 kilometers away from the Yangon region. I mean, in Yangon region, but completely different.
He didn't push us into anything, we just swapped phone numbers, and later that night, we decided to ask if we could join him for one of his tours.
Yeah, hopefully a lot of people are gonna blow you guys' mind, especially if you meet me again.
Yeah, you have already blown our minds.
Yeah.
Early the next morning, Tutu picked us up from our hotel and we walked down to the river. Tutu lives in a village called Dalla, which is just across the river from the main Yangon city. We joined the sea of locals looking to make the morning commute by ferry. Apart from the other tourists in the same group as us, we were the only foreigners we saw for the rest of that day.
We are going straight on, okay?
We honestly had no idea what to expect from this tour. Tutu just put us into a couple of tuk-tuks and we headed out into the countryside.
Hi, Amin! Let's go! So everyone are welcome to my town. What's the name of
The
this?
difference in landscape from one side of the river to another was completely mind-blowing. Our first stop was a bustling local market which sells just about everything. Tutu showed us around all of the different sections of the market, where they had all of the freshest produce from the local farms, from fruit and vegetables to meat and fish, and even bunches of flowers for pagoda offerings. The sounds and smells under the covered section of the market were unlike anything that I've experienced before. I suddenly felt like I'd walked through a gateway into a completely different world. They even had a section of local fabrics and tailors. During our day, we made 6 more stops in Dalla, including a local pottery studio where we attempted to make our own vases and bowls in the traditional way.
I'm speechless.
I don't think you have a future in pottery.
I don't think so either.
We visited some more humble religious sites than the ones that we saw in the city, the first of which has a very unique twist. So we're just about to go inside the Snake Temple, which is exactly what it sounds like. Inside this tiny, water-bound temple, over 40 pythons have made their home. Apparently, they've never hurt anyone, but there was no way I was getting closer than this. Luckily, the next temple was far more serene, but again, it was unlike anything I've seen in my life. It's probably about time that we start to talk about that big question. Should you visit Myanmar? And honestly, it's a very difficult question to answer because there are so many factors here.
Every stop we made on this tour, we were surrounded by groups of local kids. None of them were begging, none of them were trying to scam us. They just wanted to hang out with us for a bit and say hello. These people, these kids, are extremely poor, and the growing tourism industry of the last few years has created new jobs, new opportunities for work, and it's created some hope that they can start living better lives. Now, again, this is just my opinion, but the way I see it, if you choose to boycott an entire country based on the actions of a government, the main people that you're really hurting are the people that need your money the most. In the evening, we ended up at Tutu's house.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Where his mum made us the most amazing spread of local Myanmar food, which is genuinely one of the most delicious meals I've ever had. By deciding to take small local tours with people like Tutu, you are taking more steps to ensure that your money is going directly to the communities that need it.
I quit my study 1 year ago because my dad got retired from the government office. You know, he was a clerk. So due to our culture, if you were the oldest sister or oldest brother, which means you're second dad or second mom. So absurd, but you know, I'm a family person. So when I see my family face and my brain in my eyes, so nothing can, you know, look me down. Work with your heart. If you work with your heart, honesty, open-minded, good at communication, then all the travelers will be falling in love with you too.
Before we left, Tutu insisted on giving us a bit of a local makeover.
That's all you
This is a natural cosmetic paste called Thanaka that locals sometimes wear on their face and their arms.
There you go. I did my best.
Very nice.
Second one.
With our new looks, we got back into the tuk-tuks and headed back to the ferry when the sun was starting to set. And little did we know that this was just the beginning of 2 transformative weeks of travel in a country unlike anywhere else in the world.